with the scent of potpourri, films we commit to memory. Crossing the felt ropes, watching from home on my TV, looking at all my eyes can see. They tell me I view obsessively.
Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer, a weekly asterisk podcast reviewing two new or recent release titles every episode with an occasional free-for-all segment at the end that we call Potpourri. I'm your host, Matt Hurt, and you can find more of my work, including my written reviews, full episode show notes, and the complete backlog of our episodes and spin-off podcasts at obsessiveviewer.com. You can also follow me on Letterboxd and other social media platforms at the username of Obsessive Viewer. And if you'd like to support us and get access to hundreds of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Recently on Patreon, I've been doing the Severance Season 2 episode reviews that I'm going to finish soon, I promise. I've also got some Stephen King content up there, immediate reactions. I'm planning on hopefully getting a full-length extended potpourri episode out this week for both free and paid members, just to kind of catch up since I went on like a little bit of a slight sabbatical from the podcast. But all that's at Patreon. Once again, you can sign up at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for all of that and a bunch more content. And if you want to support me without messing around with Patreon or getting free stuff or new or exclusive stuff, you can always just make a donation and buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/obsessiveviewer. Links to all that is in the show notes of this episode. This week on the show, I am out of my mind and also out of my little hibernation. It's been a month. So no reason, just like just living life. But this week, to bring us back, we're going to be reviewing the new James Madigan movie, Fight or Flight, in this week's secondary review. But before that, we're going to go over some movie news and Indianapolis screening info before reviewing the new MCU film from director Jake Schreier, Thunderbolts, in this week's feature review. And joining me this week is my friend and IFJA colleague whose work can be found at awakenthedark.com, a website on which he has recently reviewed Sinners, Fight or Flight, Thunderbolts, and Drop, along with tons of other content over there. And he can also be followed on Letterboxd at letterboxd.com/awakenthedark. It's Brent Leuthold. Welcome back to the show, Brent. How's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me back.
Nice. Yes. Thank you for joining me here. Like I said, it's been a month since I've reviewed or recorded Obsessive Viewer. In the meantime, I did release a Tower Junkies video or episode with guest Eric Vespi from Kingcast. That was a really fun episode, and I really enjoyed chatting with him. But Brent, what have you been up to and everything? How's life? How's your basement?
Basement's dry. It's tabula rasa. Yeah, I got flooded last month, but we're back to square one with it. But
nice.
It's just good to have all the noisy equipment out of here. Other than that, I'm watching quite a few movies. Like you, I'm just sitting here waiting for Friendship to open because I thought that was going to be May 9th, and it is not.
Yep.
So
we had to pivot our plans and everything on this because you were going to come on and review it.
As many A24 movies as I see, their distribution model still eludes me sometimes.
Yes.
Just in terms of like which ones they decide to do like word of mouth on, which ones they decide to do super limited, which ones they open wide. I should have stopped a long time ago trying to figure it out, but this is definitely a baffling one to me. But it's opening the same weekend as Mission Impossible, so
that's
we'll see what happens.
Jesus, I can't wait for that. Like honestly, I saw a clip from it because A24 did the whole oh wow, I don't even have it on my list to review. Jesus. Okay. Anyway, I'm distracted by that. But anyway, I will evaluate that. But I saw a clip that had Tim Robinson doing his Tim Robinson thing from the movie where he's talking about like, oh, the new Marvel's out, and it's just like that clip alone. First of all, it's just fun branding, fun marketing, because, Thunderbolts and everything.
Thunderbolts just came out, yep.
Yeah, but this, I don't know. It's just, I feel really excited and really good about it. So
I don't know. I guess it's just, I don't know. I guess they're just really worried about comedies opening.
Yeah.
I guess I get, but like you look at something like Bring Her Back, that's going to open pretty wide. I mean, probably as wide as anything A24 opens.
And I'm sure it's going to be a laugh riot in itself.
I think they usually tend to bet more on horror, which I think maybe makes more sense financially. It's just like, I don't know. I guess stuff that seems like a slam dunk to you and me, they're seeing, of course, something that we're not market wise. So, whatever. Either way, I hope the movie does well. It just seems like opening against Mission Impossible is just like, like, why would you put yourself in that position when you could open on the 9th when the biggest movie coming out is probably the holdover of Thunderbolts, really.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, again, shows you that there's some room there to play, anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's wacky. It's, I don't know. We'll see what happens going forward. But yeah, we'll have to hurry up to tomorrow. I don't know. Is Hurry Up Tomorrow A24?
No, it's trying to be A24. It's Lionsgate.
Yes. Okay. There we go. Shit.
No one wanted to buy it.
God. I'm
so excited for that movie. It's so bad. I should be so much more professional about it, but that movie's going to suck so hard. I've seen that trailer a few times in theaters, and it's just... See, I've seen The Idol, though.
Yeah.
If you've seen The Idol... I think if you've actually seen the 6 episodes or 5 or whatever they cut it down to of The Idol, like, you know how specially bad that movie could be. And that's kind of where I am. So,
nice. I have not seen The Idol. I saw The Weeknd's halftime performance that one year. So that's that. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly, because I had to shift around some stuff for the podcast and everything since I took my little break, and I might have to review that next week. I don't know.
I'll let you know.
Yeah,
I'll see it tomorrow. I'll let you know.
Oh yeah. But speaking of tomorrow. Playing this week in Indy. Do you want me to run down some of a few special event screenings and stuff that are happening relatively far away from where you're located, Brent?
Yeah, how about it?
All right. So a few things. One is that I've referenced before, the Alamo Drafthouse here in Indy does have a movie trivia night. It was alternating Sundays, hosted by our colleague Lou Harry. I almost called him Lou Reed. Jesus. Our colleague Lou Harry. That is going to be on, well, I guess alternating Sundays still, but it's going to be the first and third Sunday of each month at Alamo Drafthouse on the first and third Sunday of the month at 6 p.m. So check that out. Link in the show notes and all of that. But this week at the Alamo, in honor of May, which is the month of, the Indy 500 here in Indianapolis, they have a bevy of a carburetor of movies themed around racing and cars and everything. And this weekend, they are showing Turbo and Talladega Nights. That should be pretty cool. Turbo, of course, has ties to the Indianapolis 500. It's a fun little animated movie. Did you see Turbo?
No, that's the snail one, right?
Yeah. Yep. Interesting.
How is it tied to the Indy 500?
His dream is to be a driver at the Indy 500, and he goes to the Indy 500.
Oh.
Yeah. It was kind of cool to see like an animated version of the big ass, in Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I lived a mile away from for most of my life. It was cool.
I haven't thought about that movie in some time. I haven't seen it, so. But that's cool. That'd be cool to see that animated if you're really familiar with that location. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then elsewhere at the Alamo this weekend on Sunday the 18th, they're showing Dog Day Afternoon. And then on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the 20th, they're showing Cooley High, and they're screening Talk to Me with a Bring Her Back sneak peek on Tuesday. So that should be cool. And something that I found out today that I'm very excited about, that I'm going to try to go to probably, hopefully, on Wednesday, the 21st, they are showing 28 Days Later, which is one of my favorite movies. I saw it in the theater in like 2004 or whenever it came out, 2005, I think. And I'm very eager to see it in the theater again. So I may go to that on Wednesday, the 21st. That is all at Alamo Drafthouse. Brent, which one are you going to come down and see?
Dog Day Afternoon.
Nice.
Nice. I have to drive down some afternoon and yell Attica out the door and her out the window and all that.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
just
cool.
Screaming Attica, Attica.
Mm-hmm.
The whole way down. Elsewhere, Can has stuff going on. Put links in the show notes. Living Room Theaters, Keystone Art, and then I did want to highlight that Flix Brew House on the 17th is going to be showing Blade Runner. On the 18th and 21st, they're going to be showing The Wiz, and on May 26th, in honor of Memorial Day, they're going to be showing Saving Private Ryan, which I might try to go to that one too. So that's at Flix Brew House. All that's in the show notes of this episode. Interesting stuff around Indy for film community people. Any thoughts on that, Brent, or should I hit you with some news?
Yeah, let's go into some news.
Nice. Okay. Well, I was going to do a joke. Like, the news is I'm shutting down everything. Like, this is the last episode.
That's a headline. Don't bury the lead.
Yeah. Oh my God. That would be an interesting way to end the podcast and everything. It's like
10 minutes into a random episode.
Yeah. Just like, oh, by the way, this is the last episode. And then just complete the episode this like nothing's weird.
I stopped paying Libsyn for the thing, so it's going to cut off right at this moment.
Right. But yeah, that is not happening, guys. Just so you guys know. But what is happening, to bring it back to the episode, news before the reviews. So I've got a few news items to kind of bring up and talk briefly about, just like some release date stuff and some information about some shows. Basically today, I think it was announced that release dates or premiere dates for several shows on Hulu. Alien Earth, or FX on Hulu and Disney Plus or whatever. Alien Earth is going to be premiering on Tuesday, August 12th, with the first two episodes streaming on Hulu, and then a new episode will premiere every Tuesday for a run of 8 episodes. Brent, how do you feel about Alien Earth? Are you excited?
Yeah, I would definitely be interested to see how it translates to to a series. Same like with Predator, they're doing that sort of stuff. Yeah, they have stuff coming up on Hulu this year too, where they're kind of making series off of both of those franchises. So I'm curious to see how they'll translate that. I mean, really anything can be done very well, as we know, in the TV format. So, I'm excited for it. Noah Hawley is behind it. Is he the showrunner for it, I think? I
think so, yeah. He did Fargo and other things.
Fargo's the main one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for whatever reason, like Lucy in the Sky is the movie he did, and that movie is especially not good. I never saw it. but like it's still like I think he's been the showrunner on like all 5 seasons of Fargo. So like something he's doing in the television realm is working. So I think if he's kind of hopefully sticking within that'll should hopefully bode well.
Nice. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I won't commit to doing episode reviews, but I plan on doing episode reviews on Patreon. Let's just put that out there.
You'll probably watch it.
I will watch it. Yes. Yeah. I say that knowing that I have 4 episodes of Severance season 2 left to watch. So grain of salt, but I will watch all of these things. I promise. Anyway, The next news item is that the TV series Delphi was ordered by Amazon. It's from the Creed universe. Michael B. Jordan is going to be executive producing. The article says Prime Video has ordered Delphi, a drama series executive produced by Creed movie franchise star Michael B. Jordan and Marco Ramirez, who will serve as showrunner. Marco Ramirez, I feel like maybe he had something to do with the Twilight Zone reboot. I'm not sure. Delphi is focused on young boxers at the Delphi Gym from the Rocky and Creed movies. So Brent, this project has apparently been in the pipeline for a while. And like, that's cool. But like, it just feels like, for me, I don't want, and I can't really speak, this is speaking out of turn because I haven't seen Cobra Kai, but doesn't this feels to me like, oh, okay, capitalizing on the success of Cobra Kai in doing this. I'm curious what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of this one until you just mentioned it, but
oh, interesting.
It sounds, if I had to guess, Michael B. Jordan probably doesn't really want to keep doing, he did 3 Creed movies, he directed the third one. Like, he probably would want to do more of like what he's doing, like an exec producer role in this. And like, so I think this is a way for Amazon MGM to like continue the Rocky Creed franchise, that whole thing. And, you know, so keep it within that universe. Because God knows we have to keep it in everything in its universe. Right. You know, so I think it makes sense to me in terms of like, yeah, like Michael B. Jordan is going to want to do those movies forever. You know, he was, you know, in Sinners last month, which is doing, you know, very well at the box office. I mean, hitting all the things that a movie would want to hit in terms of box office stuff, critical acclaim, audience acclaim, all that stuff. So anyway, all that to say, he has a lot of stuff that he could do, can do, and everything. So yeah, I think it especially in the way that I think Amazon is thinking about stuff. You know, I think they want to do theatrical when it makes sense, but I think this is a probably a smarter path for them to go on. Yeah, because there aren't that many like really boxing TV series.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
boxing movies are kind of their own thing, but so funny. The first one that comes to mind is a one called Lights Out.
That's the only one I can think of.
Really,
yeah, the FX show
with Holt. I forget his last name.
Oh, that's right.
Holt and a bunch of other things.
Yeah,
McElhenney or something. Anyway, it was a good show. It was only I think it only lasted one season.
Yeah.
But that was like 15 years ago. So I guess Cobra Kai, you're right. I didn't really think of that. That probably is what they're, because I think that's really success. That's like I've never seen an episode, but that's like been on for like 6 or 7 seasons or something. So
I think it's just finishing up.
Appetite for it.
Yeah, after 6 seasons. Yeah.
Anyway, all that to say, I think it makes sense as a way of continuing like that franchise, but not having to get, you know, Michael B. Jordan on the hook for all these other movies that I don't think, frankly, he'd really be available for. And I mean,
absolutely.
Rocky 4 is fun in its own thing, but 5 is really bad.
Sure.
And just the idea generally that, like, you know, how many of these like intense boxing movies do you want to do? I think 3, especially since he directed that, he kind of put everything into it. Oh yeah. You know, and you can't really, you know, Jonathan Majors is kind of, probably just like, just cut your losses with the theatrical thing and just kind of move on.
Oh yeah.
You know, not that they can never make another Creed movie, right? But I'm just saying, like, this, again, thinking of it from Amazon's perspective, it's like, let's get some, let's get some new faces in, kind of cycle stuff through, and
yeah, absolutely. You know, I will probably watch it. I won't commit to doing Patreon reviews, but I'll watch it when it comes out. And I'm curious about it. For sure.
It's funny with boxing. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but
you're
it
good.
Makes sense for a serial format.
Yeah,
if you
it
really
does.
Think about it. Like, if you think about like each episode potentially kind of like culminating in a match or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know anything about this show, but like it kind of seems like I don't know, no-brainer, but I mean, it seems like it could really work well, like in a season-long format. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so, absolutely.
Hopefully they'll do it well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll see. But the final news item that I have, oh, by the way, Marco Ramirez was one of the lead developers of the Twilight Zone reboot from 2020. And he wrote the teleplay. He's credited as writing the teleplay for the second episode of the first season, which was Nightmare at 30,000 Feet, which was a play on the Nightmare at 25,000 Feet. Or 35, I don't know. Anyway, but that was a really good episode that I weirdly enough was thinking about because of Fight or Flight, which we'll talk about later. But anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But the final piece of news that I have is, the headline reads, the headline, you hear that? You hear about this? Did you see this? J-Lo. Anyway, Peacock's The Office follow-up series, The Paper, sets premiere. The article reads, The Paper, a mockumentary from Greg Daniels and Michael Coman, is set in the same universe as NBC's Emmy award-winning hit series, The Office, and features the documentary crew that immortalized Dunder Mifflin's Scranton branch. The crew is searching for a new subject when they discover a historic Toledo newspaper, The Truth Teller, and the eager publisher trying to revive it. This is going to premiere on Peacock sometime in September. Brent, how do you feel about this impending spin-off follow-up series for The Office?
Yeah, the Frasier to its Cheers. Yeah. Kind of facetious. Yeah, I mean, it'll be fine. I mean, I guess I'd say, I mean, it sounds like it could be fine, cautiously optimistic. I mean, yeah. Donald Gleason, not really the person I think for comedy wise, but who knows if they'll go for the kind of same format in terms of having a Michael Scott type and having a Dwight Schrute type and having a will they won't they thing and all sorts of stuff. So we'll see kind of how closely they stick not to The Office in terms of the specific actors or whatever, or the narrative arcs, but just the characters that they're trying to create. But yeah, it's fine. I mean, we were talking about this in the chat the other day. It's just so interesting that these streamers now realize how successful, and they were successful before streaming services. But if you look at syndicated sitcoms like Friends or Frasier or Seinfeld or The Office, which The Office is really one of the ones that I think especially really blew up on streaming. Yeah. And I think for me personally, a big reason is because it was one of the last really big network sitcoms, and it was licensed on Netflix for probably a measly amount for what it was worth. I still would love to know what that figure was when the history books are written, right? Or what they paid for Breaking Bad, which I think is even still on there now, which is insane.
Oh yeah.
But AMC probably got fleeced on that, which is what that was the Netflix model.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Pay. Whatever. We'll pay. Dimes on the dollar or whatever for what this stuff's really worth, because we have a service, and of course now we've seen flash forward to. Everyone has their own streaming thing. No, we want our content back. I get it. But getting back to it, that's been the one thing it seems like streamers have not, whether it's Peacock or Netflix or Hulu or any of them or Prime, haven't cracked that nut of ubiquitous network sitcom. Yeah. They've not figured that out. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not sitting here saying oh, just do it. I'm not saying it's easy to make a Friends or a Seinfeld. Sure. But wouldn't you, I mean, if for the amount of money that's on the line, wouldn't that be what you're putting your money in? Right? Yeah, that's a good point. Because what Netflix is, what Netflix has done for years is literally just make a trillion different things. And if 5 of them stick, then our streaming service will become indispensable. Right. That's their model. We know that. All these other ones though, like Peacock, I mean, that should be pretty much their main focus, besides putting Universal movies on there as quick as possible.
Right.
You know, like, this is how you made your bread and butter, is on, you know, TJF and all that stuff. Like, you guys need to figure. So again, all it's to say, that's what the paper is probably going to try to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, if it does do well, right? Like, if it exceeds all expectations or whatever, it'll be interesting to see others that follow. But it's just so interesting. Like, you know, we're both around the same age. Like, looking back on this, it's always that 20-year thing or whatever. And this is about, you know, I think The Office premiered about 20 years ago in terms of the premiere of it. That it's all this thing of like the halcyon days of like network sitcoms, and it's like, it's unachievable, we can't do it anymore, everything's too fractured. And it'll just be funny if like the paper is the one that cracks it.
That would be,
to clarify, I don't think it will be.
No,
but maybe.
I think that there's a lot of potential here, and like, to circle back to like your harsh words against streamers for their sitcom thing. Not harsh words. I'm just kidding. But anyway, it's like a very good point. Like, we were talking about this, and I can't, like, there are certain sitcoms that kind of work. No, that don't even kind of work. Like, I referenced like The Ranch on Netflix, which I think that works from what I understand, because, well, it works. And then, you know, Danny Masterson. But it works because it is appealing to like a specific demographic, a specific niche demographic. And it's not that it's inaccessible or anything, but it's not like something that's for like, it's not going for like big, I don't know, big stars or anything like The Office. Like, it's not, from what I understand, it's not very clever. But anyway, but like Peacock itself has, that's a weird sentence. Peacock itself had like Rutherford Falls, which was fine, but didn't last, like, I think only lasted 2 seasons. And like we were talking about Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, that was originally made for NBC and then went to streaming when they didn't buy it. It's like, it is weird because that is a void in streaming original content, like not having that kind of ubiquitous sitcom thing. And I hate, like, I don't want to say that, oh, maybe it's because that type of kind of broad storytelling in comedy is dying, because I don't think it is. I don't want to think it is. I love sitcoms, but like,
people still, we know how much Seinfeld went, how much Netflix paid for Seinfeld. Like, we know how much Max paid for Friends. Mm-hmm. You can say, okay, well, that's the 90s, whatever, different time and stuff. Office wasn't really that long ago. You can look at something like Schitt's Creek, which, I mean, you know, isn't drawing, like, I don't think the rights that certainly Netflix, I'm sure. And we look at a lot of these, it's kind of the tail wagging the dog with this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like some of this, like Black Mirror, the reason that show got so big is because it was on Netflix and then Netflix bought it.
Oh, yeah.
Same with Arrested Development. It's like a lot of these things, and that was one, of course, that was on Fox again in the time we're talking about, mid 2000s.
And even that with Arrested Development, even having like the creative team behind it, it still didn't, it kind of floundered a bit on Netflix. Yeah.
So anyway, all I have to say, it's just like, I'm just, it's just, we, you know, like the closest thing would be like, I'm thinking of ABC ones like Abbott Elementary. Modern Family is a little older now. But
Superstore,
they're out there. Superstore is one that I have not seen, but that's one that was on TBS or whatever that station is.
No, that was on.
Or was that on ABC?
I want to say NBC, but it was NBC. It was NBC.
Okay.
The thing about that, and I've talked about it before, the Superstore, I've watched that series all the way through 3 times. I don't love it. I think it's fine. The big thing about it is that, and this is also interesting, like the big thing about Superstore that has me watching it is like, it's accessible. It is a very much turn it on in the background, you know, it's low maintenance and everything. But the thing that I connect with it is that the showrunner of Superstore was a former writer and producer, I think, on The Office. And like, it kind of blatantly follows the Office model, like very closely in terms of plot elements, like, you know, the will they, won't they, even to the point where like the beginning of a season does the same plot as the beginning of that corresponding season with The Office, like the same exact thing. And like even
and like Party Down was another one that was on around the same time as The Office. And did similar things. So yeah, like the strange thing to me, where Brooklyn Nine-Nine is another one. Like there's all these sitcoms that are doing well on streamers, and yet like The Thing, and I'm not trying to act like this is easy, but we did just name about a dozen over the past 15, 20 years. Like you wouldn't even need necessarily ones as big as these, but just it's just, it'll be interesting. So let's say we'll see if the paper is Peacock's way out to try to, I think it's just viewership is so different. But like you said, like it is different, but there's also a gap in it. There's a gap in content.
Yeah.
Like to me anyway, like I'm not like all these other ones that have already come out and they're being licensed for streamers. Yeah, there's a lot of those that are going to do well, but like I really struggle to think of a sitcom that has debuted on a streamer that has done really well. Nick, I think, mentioned Frankie and Grace, or Gracie,
Grace
or
and Frankie. Yeah,
Grace and Frankie, which I haven't. In fairness, I've not seen.
I haven't seen that either. But I also feel like that's maybe like a little bit
more of a Golden Girls thing, right?
Yeah,
where they're older. It's just I mean, it's just different thing. Yeah,
I feel like it wouldn't really necessarily fit in the category of like that broad sitcom thing, like
a 4-quadrant sitcom.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like even shows that, and this is what makes me a little nervous for the paper, is like even shows that have like the backing of an IP, like How I Met Your Dad was the kind of continuation spiritual sequel to How I Met Your Mother, which does gangbusters on streaming. But that failed after 2 seasons on Hulu. So it's a weird, like you said, it's a weird nut to crack. And like, it's not for a lack of trying, because like another one that I referenced was like Blockbuster, which would have been cool to see, but it failed after 1 season.
Space Force is another one. I think Michael Schur worked on that. Steve Carell came back. Like, you're right. It's not for lack of trying, but
but the final,
it seems like it could be lucrative.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's a gap in the market for that. But like, one thing that I kind of want to pitch in terms of a reason why this could be it, and we'll get to the reviews in a bit, is that I wonder how much of that is the divide between streaming and like traditional network television. And what I mean by that is Seinfeld, Friends, even How I Met Your Mother, like those like big titans of sitcoms and everything. The Office, did I say that? Probably. Like you referenced TGIF and I don't know, Thirsty Thursdays, whatever it is. Whatever, like Thursday, the NBC's like Thursday night lineup of like having, I think they had sitcoms there. Anyway, like I think that maybe there is a disconnect between streaming and network in terms of maybe, I wonder how much of this, of the viability of the sitcom formula and the sitcom format, that 4-quadrant sitcom thing, is based on that old television model of network TV. Because like the Thursday night lineup on NBC had sitcom, and then ER, like leading into the dramatic stuff afterwards. So like, I wonder how much of that is appointment television and how much of that is, you know, the lack of that from streamers, which streamers are moving toward that, having weekly releases, but that's also kind of like, it kind of feels more like a, like, oh, it's going to be posted at 8 p.m. Like, I don't feel like there is this drive to be like, oh my God, I got to watch this show at 8 p.m. Because it's not part of like, because it's not part of that like configured schedule. Like The Last of Us goes up at 9 p.m. Yeah, everyone watches it and everything, but they're not watching, some sitcom half an hour before it, waiting for it to come on the screen. So.
Yeah, I think lead-ins, I think you're 100% right. Like lead-ins, that's a part of how that mechanism works.
Yeah.
And I think a big thing that I don't know is like sitcom writers, like writers' rooms and stuff like that, and like seasons. Like if you look at the first season of The Office or the first season of Parks and Rec, not nearly their strongest seasons.
Oh, yeah.
And usually abridged, usually shorter. And like just the way they structure those things, like it can take sitcoms a few seasons to get their groove. And God, if we know anything, like a few seasons aren't just given for anything.
Yeah.
Like you have to earn that tooth and nail. So I think that's another part of this that's hard is like,
absolutely.
Peacock isn't going to give the paper 2 seasons right out of the gate.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not a thing.
Even with the cash, like it has from having The Office, like being related to The Office, like there's no way. And like, even that also, to piggyback off of that, and again, we're going to get to Thunderbolts here in a second, but the way that it's, the model is now, like these are 10, 12 episode seasons, like, and they're created in a vacuum. Like it's not traditional network where it's, a 22 episode season that maybe they'll get the first 11 is greenlit and then they get the back 9, so like 12 and then back 9, whatever the math is. So like they're not creating half a season after they've gotten like very good feedback and market data and everything from the episodes that have aired. So they can't tailor that to that feedback. They're just creating a reduced number of a traditional sitcom season in a vacuum and then hoping that it sticks, hoping that it hits. And I know that I'm sure they do like test screenings and stuff like that, but that's so different from having like real time reactions and stuff.
Netflix, of course, they contributed to breaking that model. So we'll see to whatever extent they can remake that model in their own image to make it, of course, profitable.
Oh yeah. And it's so crazy.
Or other streamers. I mean, it might not be Netflix, even though they're the ones that broke it. It could be, who knows, a Peacock. I mean, it stands to reason that, you'd be able to, to instead of whatever network show you're going to premiere in September that would be on NBC, you'd say this is going to be Peacock original and we're going to put a whole lot into it. And so we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But the paper, it's going to be in September on Peacock. We'll see what happens. Also forgot to mention that Oscar Nunez is going to be in it, reprising his role as Oscar Martinez, which I think could be interesting because he's going to be like, I think the press release said that he's going to be perturbed that the film crew is following, like he's just landed at a place where he's going to have to deal with them again or something. And he's not going to be like the lead or anything, but I think that'll be an interesting way to kind of bridge the two series.
He's a good holdover. Like he's a good side character. He has a lot of, like, he's kind of over the series, he became kind of like a specific, what did Jim say sarcastically? It's like, fits the stereotype of the smug gay Mexican. It's right. It's like he's definitely like his own character that I think you could plug into another show. So that's I think that could work. I mean, who knows? Like I said, I mean, I should be optimistic about it because I do think people like there is this kind of show that people used to like. That I think I think people are nostalgic for, clearly, because that there's all these other shows from the mid-aughts that were really just the 2000s overall, before streaming, people really hold on to dearly, that hey, maybe let's try to make something of our own. Oh my god, so scary.
Right. And last thing, but the inclusion of Oscar, like something you said just like triggered this for me, like the smug gay Mexican thing, like his arc in The Office, like he became like the know-it-all kind of pretentious guy. And like, I think that if those character traits carry over to the paper, which it's about a failing, it's a historic Toledo newspaper and the eager publisher trying to revive it, I could see that being a good kind of element for comedy. Like maybe I don't know if he'd still be like out of his element or whatever, or being like someone who thinks that they know everything. But like, I think that there's some story growth there that could be interesting. So I
think, again, like Thunder Mifflin is a struggling paper company. This is like the newspaper. Obviously, we know the state of journalism, a ton of content. I mean, there's stuff there, right?
Yeah.
So I think, we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens, just like we saw what happened in Thunderbolts when we each saw the movie in the theater at some point.
We saw asterisk what happened.
Yes. So that is my clunky segue into getting to our feature review of the evening. Brent, are you ready to talk Thunderbolts?
Let's do it.
Nice. All right. So, of course, as these reviews go, we're going to do a non-spoiler review, and then we'll transition over to a spoiler review. Check the show notes for timestamps to find out where to navigate around spoilers. But before we jump into spoilers, I will play a clip from the trailer to give you guys time to scream at your phone and check the show notes for timestamps and everything. So we won't spoil anything in the non-spoiler, but what I will say is that Thunderbolts was in theaters and is currently in theaters. It was released in theaters May 2nd, 2025. The premise, according to IMDb, is after finding themselves ensnared in a death trap, an unconventional team of anti-heroes must go on a dangerous mission that will force them to confront the darkest corners of their pasts. Director for this movie was Jake Schreier, and writers were Eric Pearson and Joanna Callow, and the cast includes Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, speaking of Seinfeld, Louis Pullman, David Harbour, Wyatt Russell, Hannah John Kamen, Olga Kurylenko, and Geraldine Viswanathan. Brent, let's talk Thunderbolts. Were you excited about this movie, and how did you feel in non-spoilers?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was maybe a little more excited for it than I would be for like a typical MCU movie. The marketing was kind of obnoxious about like, hey, this is a real movie, including a trailer that they did that I guess maybe started as like a joke, but then like it's real. And like, I don't know, maybe I just took it too seriously, but like, it had like from the writers of, like the director of the guy who did Beef and like the cinematographer of like The Green Knight and like this stuff where they're like trying to act like, I think the title of the trailer is like Pure Cinema.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't be like, okay, I should just think it's a joke, but like it is a real trailer. And so then the talk track is like, oh, this is like an artsy Marvel movie. And I think what's grating to me about that is I resent the implication that there's like the idea that there would be like high and low Marvel even. I think that's kind of stupid. Like my favorite Marvel movies, I wouldn't say that's like high Marvel and my least favorite ones are low Marvel. Like that's not really I don't really think of them in that way. And I just think that's foolish to say like, oh, this has the cinematographer from this A24 movie.
Right.
So you should see it. Like, I just think, and again, I understand that the trailer is a joke and I shouldn't, take it too seriously. But I thought even as a joke, I thought that was sort of cloying. But this did have kind of different marketing in a number of ways, one of which we'll probably get to in spoilers. All that to say, I did enjoy it. And incidentally, it is, I don't want to say like it's artsier or more highbrow or anything like that. But I do think there is a level of craft to it that I do think there's a little more effort put into this and a little more thought behind it. I think the way they went about articulating that in the marketing was maybe a little too cheeky for my taste.
Sure.
But I will say like there's things that this movie does, I think, that maybe they lost their way. Marvel, the MCU, maybe lost their way on in terms of really just fundamental filmmaking in terms of cinematography, but just things like lighting and blocking and like the way that they're using effects. It just seems like, to me, this is still a very expensive movie. I think this is 180 million, something like that. But it does feel like there was just kind of more intention behind the presentation of things that I really appreciated. Beyond that, I think it's a lot of the other stuff that I think we've seen done in superhero movies. I just think it's done well. Like, it's a team up movie. It's a we're a scrappy band of underdogs, we have to band together. Like it does a number of tropes. I think it just does it quite well. I think it has its own take on it, and it's I think it's well acted, really fun cast. So yeah, not like grand slam or anything, but I think in a way it's especially with how Marvel has been the past few years, which we can get into, like it's like a welcome shot in the arm is too strong, but just like reminder of what some of the, even though this isn't one of like the very best that they've done, it's like a reminder. It definitely has moments like that where you're like, okay, like there's a reason that it's the biggest franchise in the world. So.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's interesting. Like, I came out of the theater thinking that it was like the kind of logline thing, the kind of elevator thing, which I found out that our friend Evan also said it was. It feels good to be excited and very much like pleased about a Marvel movie now. Not that anything's been horrifically bad. Like, it's just been forgettable. Like Eternals, whatever. Shang-Chi, I liked it, but went nowhere. Like, nothing has come of that. And there are like breadcrumbs that have not been paid off. There are things that are just being scrapped and everything. There's a lot of just turmoil in the behind the scenes with the Marvel universe and everything. And it just feels like a very, no pun intended, very stark difference from what the Infinity Saga was, which was also surely like not as well thought out or anything as, hindsight would have you think, but like it still was like a cohesive thing that paid off incredibly well. I don't see the current era of the MCU paying off nearly as well as Endgame did, but that remains to be seen. But it just seems like they're just growing exponentially, and like introducing like the multiverse stuff was exciting at first, but now it just feels like too much work and too many disparate things. But all that's to say that Thunderbolts is unfortunately probably the best Marvel movie we'll get this year. I say unfortunately because Captain America Brave New World, I enjoyed that movie, but I think, did you review it with me? Yeah, we talked about how it felt very piecemeal together from other Captain America movies to be safe. And what I like is that this movie could have been that. Like, Thunderbolts could have been a like, Guardians of the Galaxy-esque Suicide Squad sort of thing, like just taking stuff that the industry and everything and like DC has done a couple of times, and just try to package in the MCU. And what I appreciate about it is that it doesn't do that. It actually forges its own path. And the stupid thing that I was gonna say was like, this is Florence Pugh's MCU, and we're just watching movies in it. Because I feel like she was great in this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But this was a very measured and kind of very introspective movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe than I was expecting. And I think that was really interesting as a way to just kind of bring us into this group and bring us into these characters actually dealing with their past and not being just like fodder for, quippy anti-hero stuff. Like, yeah, it's an interesting kind of surprisingly entertaining and well done movie from my perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned too, so like Brave New World, like we reviewed that a few months ago, and yeah, that was one that more than just about any movie in the MCU I can think of you could really feel the reshoots.
Yes.
It was so not cohesive. And so that's where, again, by comparison, this looks like they really hunkered down and really figured this thing out. Now, did they have reshoots of this? Yeah, probably. But the end product comes across as a lot more polished. And again, let's be frank, like, that's kind of what we had been used to, like coming off the chain was a lot, whereas, they had to do a lot more course correction. With like Kang, we, talk about, Jonathan Majors, that was in the Patreon. Oh, no, we talked about, anyway, it doesn't matter. It's like,
join Patreon.
But, like they had to pivot and course correct with all this stuff. Like the Kang Dynasty was supposed to come out this month.
That's nuts.
And you mentioned like multiverse stuff, like that got out of hand really quickly. And then like the whole Fox acquisition and Deadpool and Wolverine, like I know that made a lot of money and that made a lot of people happy. And that's great, but you can't argue that movie isn't complicated, or you have to know a lot going into that movie, which again is, bug for some, feature for others. Regardless, that's what I think for me feels a lot more back to basics about this movie, even though all of these characters are ones who have debuted in either Marvel series or other previous movies. Like, I really don't think you have to have seen any of those to get these characters, to get what they're about. Especially if you look at like, Wyatt Russell's character, his iteration of Captain America that was in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Like I don't really remember, like, I remember the arc. I remember like he plays a pivotal, but like I could have gone into this movie not really knowing that much about him and still would have understood his character. And I think he does a good job here. That's another thing. Yeah. Like with this movie, it's kind of bits and pieces, Yelena, Florence Pugh's character is from Black Widow and briefly in Hawkeye. This is the most she starred in a movie. Her character's been in a movie. She's the lead character, and she's really excellent. But it's a lot of this, like, again, with the whole scrappy sort of underdog sort of thing. It's like these are all our characters who are called from all these other different entries. There's a lot going against this movie going into it. And so that's why I was kind of delightfully surprised that it works as well as it does.
Yeah. Oh, same here. And it's that personal aspect of it too that we'll talk about in spoilers and everything that really feels like surprisingly humanizing. And maybe it's also kind of capitalizing on, what like DC did with the Suicide Squad, like knowing that, that's a specific brand that David Ayers did. And then James Gunn fixed. And like, maybe I
like both of them for two very different reasons. They're very different movies. Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad.
But just having it be something that is its own thing in the kind of shadow of the Avengers as an entity. Like, this feels like a movie that should have been done a little bit sooner. It kind of similar to Black Widow. But like, this should have been a movie that was maybe a proponent force for the multiverse saga or whatever. Like, this should have been like, I think technically this is capping off a certain phase or something, or this is I don't know how they're doing now. I think they're kind of moving away from phases, but this is the type of movie that could have been the building block toward the big finishing phase ender thing. And like, I just find that refreshing and interesting. And it's kind of a sad sort of thing that it doesn't really fit into that kind of trend or that kind of system of MCU things. But I don't know. Do you think it'll be something that is the momentum is going to carry through of being like a actually good MCU movie these days?
Whenever a movie does well, whether it's box office wise or critically or audience wise or whatever, what's the hope? It's that the studios learn the right lesson. I would hope the takeaway here is, focusing on, like, I guess I don't even know what the one thing is, but, not worrying, I think, as much about, let's pull all these like in for cameos, which I don't want to say whether or not this movie has like cameos or Easter eggs or all this stuff. I think, to me, that's where I don't want to say it got lost in the woods, because I think that has been in the MCU's DNA really from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But I think you can do that a little too much. And I think, honestly, that's probably what of like looking at something like Deadpool and Wolverine or other movies.
Yeah.
It's just when I'm like, okay, it's a lot of, not like, let's get back to the cake and not as much frosting.
Right.
I think we've been in the frosting era of the MCU for like years, and it's like, I have diabetes.
Yes. Yes.
And so it's like, this just felt like some cake.
Mm-hmm.
The meaning the non-frosting part of the cake. You're still going to get some frosting here. It's still an MCU movie, but this movie's caked up. So I said
totally. Yeah, I totally agree. And it does feel like, for it being a team up movie like that, it does feel a little bit smaller. It feels like it's not the big team up movie of the current era of MCU. It just feels very much kind of down to earth in a certain respect. Like, the set pieces, like, they take place in a few different locations, and that's basically it. A very large amount of time is spent in an enclosed space. And that can describe like 3 different enclosed spaces, I think, throughout the movie, which isn't a complaint, because the characters play off each other really well. And there's a lot of really good kind of dynamics at play.
It's a lot more tactile, I think, in terms of, the very first shot of this movie is Florence Pugh jumping off of this ginormous building in Malaysia. And it's like, that's a really cool way to like start this movie and feel like, well, like, we didn't green screen this.
Right.
And even like the first set piece, which I won't get into the specifics, but like when all of these characters first converge, like the combat there doesn't feel junky to me. No. Like, it feels and these are different fighting styles and everything, and these different characters. That's another part of it too that's kind of baked into this, is technically some of these characters are like super powered and that they have the super serum, but none of them are crazy overpowered where it's like Scarlet Witch, where that's something I get into these movies too, not to get on too much of a tangent, but like, I don't know what Scarlet Witch, like, why would Hawkeye stand any kind of chance against Scarlet Witch? It's like one shoots arrows, the other can like turn someone's organs inside out in the snap. So like, it's like, I don't know what that means. Whereas this is like, okay, there is one character, whatever, that is okay. That I can deal with.
Yeah, but they handle that in such an interesting way too.
Yes, absolutely, I agree. But then so much of the rest of this is, she even has that line, Elena does, like, so what? We all just punch and shoot, and it's like, but it works really if you think about it. If they're all effectively on that level, some are stronger than others, and that's fine.
Sure,
I'm fine with that. It's just something where it's not like you're getting, Agent of Ultron thing where they're all lined up in a circle and they're all blasting stuff. And I'm like, this is cool for a bit, but I would want every movie to be like this. And that's why this is nice.
Absolutely. Totally agree. And like that, in addition to that kind of just underdog element of it, that they don't know what the hell they're doing. They're barely functioning as a team, which those are all hallmarks of these types of like anti-hero team up movies and everything. Like that's in the blueprint. It's in the DNA of this type of movie, but it's done in such a way that feels fresh and interesting, even if it is pretty derivative of other storylines of its ilk. But it just works because of the chemistry among the characters and in the performances.
Yeah, it's one of those like classic example things of where I'm like, you can look at things on paper and I can look at this and be like, yes, like I'm recognizing the tropes, I'm understanding this, but like it can still be done well.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I think people get maybe that misconception of these. It's like, oh, it has to be weird, or it has to be like a bunch of, random stuff happening. It's like I saw a movie last night that was a bunch of random stuff happening. I mean, I guess I had a good time. We don't need to get into that.
Sure.
But like, just because something's like wholly original, doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. And something can be, on paper derivative, but if it's done really well, like if the craft is there, it can work.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What else can we say in non-spoilers? Or is there anything that you want to cover in non-spoilers before we go to spoilers?
I think we can get into spoilers. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a solid effort. Getting back to the question I didn't really answer, which you said, is this like a return to form? I mean, yeah, I think in some ways we'll kind of see with like Fantastic Four what that's going to do. Yeah. Like how audiences respond to that, box office wise, how it's done, and how that, I think we have high hopes for it. I believe it's set in the 60s. So like, I don't know exactly how that's going to so it's hard to say like I don't expect Fantastic Four to be like Thunderbolts.
Sure.
So I think for me, it's going to be more like, I don't know, whatever is coming after Fantastic Four, I guess. But but we'll see. I mean, I'm cool with them, slowing their roll and just like doing this a little less often and just trying to focus. Like if we are only getting Fantastic Four this year as well, like I'm fine with that. I hope it's good. And then like, I'm cool with 2 a year. Like that's
fine
with me, man. Like, I feel like that used to kind of be more the cadence. And then it was like,
and then Disney Plus happened. And
well, the series too. That's a whole other thing that's happened in the past few years.
I also completely forgot that Fantastic Four is coming out this year. So I do have the suspicion that Fantastic Four is going to be the best MCU movie of the year. Just to issue a correction there, because I forgot about that when I considered.
I think is it June? Is either next month or July?
I think it's July.
Sometime in the summer. Yeah. So anyway, all that to say, if they really are going to stick to this, like we're going to do like fewer movies and we're really going to try to just focus up and do better. Like if this is evidence of that, like I would be cool with something of this quality for a while. I think we'd be lucky to have quite a few singles if we're doing, baseball terms, so yeah. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious to see where things go from here and how the MCU functions now. Because then another big thing is like granted, these are all kind of semi-established characters and stuff, but I mean, we're getting like Fantastic Four. Like the universe is expanding and the multiverse is expanding. So like, I don't know how it's going to be something. I don't know. We'll see what things look like.
X-Men too. Speaking of Fox stuff, Fox properties.
Oh yeah. Which also it's rumored. It hasn't been officially said, but Jake Schreier is kind of being lined up to do the MCU X-Men movie, which I think would be a great fit, which we can talk about in spoilers as to why. But yeah, I liked Thunderbolts a lot. I think the chemistry among the characters was really good, and it was a lot of fun, and we should go into spoilers. Before that, what did you rate it on Letterboxd?
I give it 3.5 out of 5. Like I said, it's not like crazy amazing, like as good as like the Avengers first one or like that sort of stuff, but like definitely the best MCU movie I think in the past few years. Like I'm a sicko who likes Quantumania, but like no one with good taste likes that movie. So I would say it's like, definitely for me, one of the better ones, at least since that, but probably even going back to whatever. Anyway, probably for the past like several years.
Nice.
One of my favorites. Yeah.
Nice. It's funny. I rated it 4 stars out of 5. And I would say it's the best, not since Endgame, probably the best since like, that's the thing.
No Way Home. You could say No Way Home.
Yeah. Definitely that. But I also want to say like the best since like Multiverse of Madness, but like I have not had any inclination to go back and rewatch that movie. So I don't know. And then there's also like, I'm probably forgetting movies that came out in the interim, but
2022, I think is when, I'm not positive, but I think Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder, and Wakanda Forever all came out that year.
Oh, yeah.
I actually rated those all the same, which again, I know.
Oh, interesting.
Whatever. That's people don't, whatever. I know people really don't like Love and Thunder, and people, I think, tend to like Multiverse Madness more. I actually like that probably the best of the three. But regardless, like that to me was such a like, all right, year of like those are three totally different properties, even though they're within the MCU, different characters, all this stuff. And the end result was still like, I was just like, all right. Whereas like Thunderbolts, even though I technically only rated it a little higher, like I would much rather see them go in this direction. In terms of just like how it's made. This just feels a lot more solid.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree. So let's go ahead and go into spoilers for Thunderbolts. Like I said before, I'm going to play a clip from the trailer, but this is your warning. We're going to go into spoilers for Thunderbolts when we come back. We're going to be spoiling the movie. Check the show notes for timestamps to navigate around. Those show notes are in your podcast app or wherever you're listening to this. And they're also available at obsessiveviewer.com/OV475. With that, we're going to go into spoilers. Here's a clip from the trailer for Thunderbolts **.
I was in high school when the Avengers came. Kind of strange that it's all over now. No one's coming to save the day.
I think we are. We can be the ones that are coming.
Buck, you have the wrong people. We have all done bad things.
Look, I've been where you are. The past doesn't go away. So you can either live with it forever, or you can do something about it.
All right, so spoilers on for Thunderbolts or the New Avengers. Do you want to talk about the rebranding thing, the marketing stuff of it?
Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah, we can jump through that. How do you feel about that? I was a little perturbed that it was after the first weekend because I drug my feet. And I didn't see it until the Monday after it opened. And so, like, that was all, like, something I was expecting, which is a shame. But, yeah, for the listeners who aren't aware or are in the future and don't remember, Thunderbolts was, the end of the movie says that they're the New Avengers. Valentina christens them as the New Avengers, and then that's kind of the end title screen. And the marketing of the movie was built around taking off the Thunderbolts name and having the New Avengers, that being the reason for the asterisk, which is clever. But yeah, how do you feel about all that?
Yeah, I mean, what I don't really know is, okay, yeah, it's a marketing thing. And well, okay, let's address that first. So I think the reason they did it, I'm almost positive, is the idea that this is back to the MCU, that you can't skip the opening weekend or else you're going to get spoiled.
Oh, yeah.
We look at week to week stuff. We talk about water cooler shows and all this thing and not wanting to get spoiled on social media and all that stuff. What does that make one do? Watch the show.
Right.
So that you're in the boat and not out of the boat. The idea is you can't, we're not doing a Tuesday thing. You're not seeing this on Bargain Tuesday. You're seeing this opening weekend or you're going to get spoiled. I'm not saying I approve of that message or to treat fans like that. I'm just saying I think that is the business decision behind this.
Okay.
So that's that. In terms of narratively, I actually don't know if these characters actually are going to be the New Avengers. The point within the context of the movie is that she basically sets them up, kind of in Amanda Waller way, but Suicide Squad, and like coaxes them into a press, this press conference that's like literally on the street. It's like they save the day, so it's. What I don't know is like I don't know how to seriously to take that elongated title or whatever. It's revealed in the movie. I did see it opening weekend, so I just took it for what it is. I feel bad for people who, got spoiled. But it's a choice that Disney made. So, it's
How is the crowd reaction in that moment when it said the New Avengers? Like, did you notice like any like reaction or anything? Because I mean, it's kind of played up as like a big moment, but also it's like, I mean, we're in like this is like the 45th or 60th whatever MCU project. Like,
right.
I feel like it's not gonna have that big kind of surprise element to it.
To me, I mean, I guess like I don't remember what the exact audience reaction was, but it almost plays more as like almost a comedy beat in the movie, because it's like, she tricked him. Yeah. You know, and it's like the last line of the movie before the credits is like Florence saying like, we own you now. Yeah. Because like it's this idea that like they're kind of inextricably linked, because like she set them up, and you know, all the, of course, the stuff with Sentry and all that. So like,
and like I don't feel like it, like just to be clear, my read of it wasn't that she necessarily set them up. Not for that. Like that was never the plan. This is her fallback plan. This is her like this is her like in the moment kind of political thing where it's like, okay, these are the new Avengers, so like getting the jump on them, like ratting her out. That's how I kind of took it, and I do take it as like a comedic beat. The thing that I'm confused about with it is like the rebranding thing. It's cute, it's funny, it's good marketing gimmick or whatever. But like, I went into it knowing that was going to happen, knowing that was the end of the movie. And I expected it to be like, oh, this is like, I'm actually watching the new Avengers movie. Like, this is what this is building toward. But then it feels like the post-credit scene is just negating that completely. Like, I went into it thinking like, oh, these are actually going to be the new Avengers. Like this is the start of the new Avengers team up. But like the post-credit scene is like, oh, they're in like a copyright dispute with Captain America because of the word Avengers. And it's like, okay, like, are they setting up like this half-ass, like weird, like Civil War-esque thing in the lead up to Doomsday? Like, is that going to be a small part of it? Like that they have to band together to defeat Dr. Doom? I don't know.
That's the whole thing with this, right? Is like, I can't take the idea that these would be the quote new Avengers seriously when we know that they're bringing back the Fox X-Men people, like literally the whole long line of, you know, of cast chairs, you know, that they have, and RDJ coming back and all this stuff. Like, I can't really take that serious. I think that's literally why it's a comedic beat for me, because I'm like, these aren't the new Avengers. Like, I don't even know what that means. But even if it did mean anything, whatever. So like, I don't know, that whole thing. It's funny that, so I saw the movie before really any of that asterisk stuff got explained or any of that, in terms of revealed to the public or whatever. Yeah. So I honestly just kind of took it as like, okay, fine, they're the new Avengers, whatever the hell that means in the context of this movie or wherever we're doing for phases. This movie does directly set up Fantastic Four. Yeah. You know, so I think that to me is maybe, I'm interested in Fantastic Four. I kind of already was. Me too. Based on how they're setting it up. So yeah, you know, we'll roll with that. But I have no idea what anyone being a new Avenger even means. Yeah. You know. Again, that's part of the novelty for this movie for me, is like that it is smaller. I don't want to have to think about how Ghost is going to do against Doctor Doom. Like, I don't know, probably terrible. Probably going to get shot in the head like like Taskmaster. So right. So it's like, anyway, so there it's like, you know, for me, it's like I just have a thirst for, I guess, the more in a vacuum movies now, where it is like, where it feels more quaint. So I don't really, the intertextuality in the MCU, I don't want to say it means nothing to me, but it's obviously not novel anymore. And I think it's for a lot of times for me, it's just kind of a distraction. Sure. Yeah. So I'm just sort of like, just get back to doing a movie that's 5 people that shouldn't be together with dark pasts, and they have this threat that they need to take care of, and then they do it, and that's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Like that works perfectly.
Yeah.
What I do like about the post-credit scene also is that it does answer a question that I had just like in the back of my mind about Fantastic Four. It's like clearly the end of the Fantastic Four, the first steps, is going to be them going through whatever portal, wormhole, whatever interdimensional thing to go into the like our universe, and that explains that like that's why it's the 60s there in technology and everything, and why Doctor Doom is Stark, basically looks exactly like oh my god, wow.
Yeah,
Why
I don't even
Tony
know.
Stark.
Yeah, I don't even know how the hell that stuff's going to happen. I mean, they're obviously putting a lot on Fantastic Four because of the Doomsday stuff that they're shooting. So who knows how I'll feel about that?
Yeah,
Fantastic Four, but
yeah.
But for now, yeah, I sort of miss I mean, one of the things I like about this movie, this is not necessarily addressing credit stuff or anything, but like this movie's attempt to actually have themes that like matter and resonate. Again, I mean, this is something that it seems like maybe I don't want to say we took for granted. That's not true, but like, again, this is when we talk about like cohesion and like actually crafting a movie that can stand on its own and not just set up the next thing, like actually having, a movie, deal with like, again, these characters that have these like cluttered pasts and presents. A lot of these characters are like even presently, broken. There's sort of, so the way that, Bob, Sentry, like the Void is able to like kind of glimpse into that sort of like their pasts or presents, or I mean, technically past. Yeah. Kind of remind me of like Scarlet Witch stuff and like Age of Ultron. But like here again, like that sense of like, touch or whatever, it's that tactility and that like intimacy that you're sort of getting these flashbacks, and it's like, it doesn't, it actually feels like we're really trying to build these characters up in a meaningful way, and not just like, setting it up like, this cameo is gonna show up any second, right? So those are the kind of things for me that I was like looking for and really kind of glomming onto with this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. It very much homes in on the characters themselves and their kind of their past, their insecurities, their issues and everything. And it doesn't even present it as the team up aspect of it. It doesn't necessarily present it as like, the weight of having to do this, much like what we saw in Captain America, where like the good stuff with that movie was Sam Wilson wrestling with like, can I lead the Avengers? Can I be the leader of the Avengers? Because I'm not Steve Rogers. Right. And here we get like some of that, but it's more like, I mean, it's a big part of it, obviously, but a lot of it's just like it's not a question of should they or will they be able to rise to the occasion. It's like, we can't, like, we're the wrong people for this job. And that's something that I think really made it like a lot more tense, but also measured in a specific way for me.
Yeah. I mean, this movie, I think for me, I think it personified and kind of, not just in the climax, but I think through a lot of the movie, I think evokes depression. I think a way that's pretty unique for, I would think, superhero movies. Not that like no superhero movies like tackled that, but like it is like a through line of this movie. Like Sentry, Bob turns to Sentry, and like the Void is, I mean, it's effectively, I mean, it's Jungian / kind of, I mean, not even really bipolar, because like it's not like Sentry is like manic,
right?
But the Void is certainly like depression, like literally this manifestation of like you're worthless, you can't fight, like I will swallow you whole, like the Void, like literally it's like he is this infinitely dark figure. I really liked the character design there. I don't know what he looks like in the comics, or how Sentry and the Void are split in the comics.
Yeah.
But I like that being like, and again, talk about like light and shadow in this movie too. Like, it's shot, I think, in an interesting way. The way that shadows are like casts in that climax, and like people are literally like just like shadows, I think was pretty cool too. But anyway, all that to say, I like that this is a movie with characters that are all kind of going to, it's not like all the characters are all like depressed the whole movie.
Right.
But I think like this is definitely one of those team up movies that shows the value in connection and on leaning on one another. And I think the way that the way that ties into, the void and kind of what ends up being Bob Sentry's kind of struggle with this like thing. I thought in the climax, like when they're kind of in there, like I was into it. Like I bought it. I thought all that worked super well.
Yeah. And weirdly enough, it reminded me a little bit, and it's a poor example, but like it reminded me of a better way of doing what I vaguely remember about the end of X-Men Apocalypse, with Xavier and Jean Grey's head and having that kind of mental kind of like wrestling with things. But here it's very much, it's about that depression. It's about that mental illness. And I think that it's done in such a way, it's such an elegant and very easily understood depiction of what, like, it's just this visual representation of depression. Like, I live with depression every day. My listeners here on the podcast do when they listen to my voice. But you
lift them up, Matt.
I do. Thank you. I like to think that I do. Sorry for being absent for a month, guys. But anyway, but like, it's such a clean and clear representation of it that I would say is one of the best ways to see that particular like mental illness depicted on screen since like Inside Out, the first Inside Out. I was
thinking of that movie too.
Yeah, very clear, demonstrating it, how it works, because there is such a still not even stigma, but just this misunderstanding of like I'll make the joke to people that like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of depressed and everything, but I just need to go outside. I just need to go for a walk. I just need to work out and stuff. Like, people don't understand that
But see, the Void was outside and he was still depressed.
Exactly. So it's so interesting to see that subject line tackled, or that subject tackled so clearly and so thoroughly and earnestly also.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what I felt in that final scene where they're kind of all like trying to help, Sentry, like in, that's one thing I really liked about it. Two is, I think the reason I thought of Inside Out is because the way that it's actually resolved in this movie isn't that it can just be eliminated. I mean, the message of Inside Out is you can't just like, kill some emotion,
right?
Or, just like strangle, sadness, like Phyllis. It's like, you have to be able to live with it. And yeah, it's, in the case of the Void, like it's this all powerful, like it's scary, and it is, but it's a matter. I think that's where I think that this climax, it's really right in that a lot of other superhero movies, it would just be like, we need to just kill the Void. And then you're the Sentry / Bob again, and that's it. And it doesn't really resolve like that. It's like, you need to, it's a more of a self-acceptance thing. Like, you need to accept that this is a part of you. The struggle is in the balance of it, and not succumbing to, the Void or the nth degree of this thing, but to be able, because that's, he literally tries to like pummel it, and it's like, it's like, yes, you want to have the strength to overpower it, but you can't kill it.
Right.
And I think that is, to me, something that's, again, thematically resonant, makes sense for the movie, makes sense for the genre. So yeah, I thought that all that was great. And Lewis Pullman's good. Like I think this is just like well acted too. Like Florence Pugh, like, yeah, obviously she's done a lot of other non-MCU movies. Like we know she's a really strong actress, but I thought Lewis Pullman, I've seen him in some things before, but like I think he's really good at effectively he's playing 3 different characters. Yeah. Like his sentry scene is awesome because going back to what I was saying earlier, like these are all like characters that are like mainly punchers and shooters, even though we have some super serums going on. But like he's even plugged as like, he's like 10 times stronger than all the Avengers combined. I'm not good at all the comic stuff. I don't know where he ranks power wise, but like he is way holding back, on these characters. He could kill them very easily, chooses to beat the crap out of them for sure and fold Captain America's shield to a taco. So I liked that scene too. It kind of reminded me of like Neo at the end of Matrix, where he's really holding back. You can, it's like something about where you can tell how powerful a character is by how much they're holding back. So yeah, he's good. Like just like the David Harbour being the, he was a little more cartoonish in this. Than, a lot more cartoonish in this than Black Widow, but he's like a fun presence. Yeah. Sebastian Stan, just like I think it's just like a strong ensemble. So yeah, it's a good, feels like a good substantial, substantive Marvel movie, which really, in my view, that's what they should be focusing on.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't plan for home runs and movies that are going to make $1 billion, or whatever. Thunderbolts is not going to make $1 billion. Yeah. Well, I don't think so anyway. But like they made a good movie here that's still going to make quite a bit of money. Yeah. And I think people are happy. Like I hope that's the message that they're taking from this.
Right. We'll see. But it's interesting also. It's interesting also that Lewis Pullman, that was originally like Stephen Yeun was originally cast.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah, which I feel like that would have been, I think he would have done a great job, but I can't imagine, like Lewis Pullman does this very, like I could see Stephen Yeun doing like this very quiet and very just angsty sort of performance with it, and like quiet and angsty. I'm just thinking of like, I don't know, in any of his roles. Not that he's like he's a great actor, but like Lewis Pullman does something here that it's just like it's goofy and fun at the beginning, and then it just like it feels very much like the escalation of it is very like truthful and honest. And
that it's 3 different characters too. And is neat.
Yeah. And one of the most profound things about this movie, the thing that probably resonated with me the most and I found the most profound was that scene where he is trying to like he's giving in and beating the shit out of like the Void, like him, like that one-on-one thing. And like when Yelena's like, oh no, this is what he wants. And I'm like, that is such a raw and amazing just visualization of what your brain chemistry does, like what your brain does with your brain chemistry when you are in the throes of like a very, very heavily depressive episode. Because like I've said this before, I've explained this before to countless people that your brain, when it's depressed, this is your brain on depression. It is tricking you into thinking that the negative thoughts that you have and the negative feelings you have and the paranoia, the different things that are going on that are negatively affecting your happiness are what your brain wants you to focus on and wants you to just like do. Like it's almost like your brain is releasing that dopamine when you're thinking about how like, oh, that person looked at me the wrong way, or this thing really bothered me. I'm going to harp on it and think about it for a while and just get just so angry and so like frustrated with it. And like, that's what feeds the depression. That's what feeds the beast and everything. And like, to see that in the superhero movie and see that done so vividly was remarkable to me. I thought that was just incredibly well done.
Yeah, well said. And yeah, I think that's what it comes down to, is like those are the kind of moments rather, that like that where you kind of see, I mean, to me, it kind of, I don't want to say stretches what the genre can do, but I guess either that or it reminds you of like some of the best stuff that this genre can do, or really even movies can do in general, is that, you know, these sort of, it takes these kind of complex, like psychological concepts and, you know, almost visual medium, you know, and kind of can even just like in a minute can like kind of tie this all together. And it's like, we can understand it, even though it's not like explicitly, you know, saying all these things. Like it can convey this in a package where, where I think these kind of universal truths can kind of be unpacked, on screens everywhere. So it's a special thing. So I'm glad that hopefully more of that. And it doesn't even always have to be around. It doesn't even have to be like, you know, necessarily. I mean, this movie does it well because that's baked into this movie. But I mean, it can be any number of things and themes. It's just, you know, just having something that you know is worth unpacking, and not just, you know, that was a fun ride. You know, remember when we went up the hill and down the hill, and nothing wrong with theme park rides, but but we can expect better. There's nothing wrong with expecting more from blockbusters. So
absolutely. And I think that what we're both getting at, and what you're trying to say, is that Thunderbolts, how very A24 of MCU.
This is my 68th favorite A24. I was going to add this to my A24 list. I didn't, but I was going to.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Jesus. Anything else in spoilers for Thunderbolts? Anything we haven't touched on, or anything, or any parting thoughts if we want to close out the review?
I don't think so. Yeah, it's a good one. It's I would say worth seeing in theaters if you haven't.
Yeah.
I would say of this one, like if you felt lost out of the MCU the past like few years or whatever, I will go out there and say, I will go on a limb and say, just you don't have to catch up on Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or all these other series or movies you might not have seen in the past few years.
Yeah.
Just see it. You'll be fine. Don't worry. Who knows? You might miss an Easter egg or two, but who cares? There's more movie here than just, this book that was on the shelf was anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, that's our review of Thunderbolts / the New Avengers. Which that was another thing really quickly about that whole rebranding thing. I feel like it would be a funnier punchline if they didn't do that same kind of thing with Agatha all along. Cause like they had such a run of like saying like, oh
God.
Yeah. Like just like, the title is actually going to be this and this. And that like, it's silly because like, meanwhile, the MCU is just kind of like falling out of favor in the public consciousness. And then they're leading up to this punchline of like, it's actually going to be Agatha all along. You get it? When it's like, no, it seems like you're confusing yourself. Like it's not a thing. But anyway,
I think sometimes they really misconstrue sometimes like who they're kind of like, I want to say core audience. It's like movies and series get a lot of eyeballs, and people just want to freaking know what the title of the thing is that they're watching.
Exactly.
We can be cute for a million years, but like, just, sometimes it's like whatever. I don't need to get into this. I thought it was going to be called Thunderbolts * because Thunderbolt Ross turns into Red Hulk at the end of Brave New World. And in one of the trailers for Thunderbolts, Red Guardian or whatever says like, we're the Thunderbolts, and Bucky said we can't call ourselves that. And I figured it would be because they can't really call themselves Thunderbolts because the Thunderbolt Ross name has been sullied because of Red Hulk. I don't know, maybe that was an obvious thought, but I didn't really give it too much more than that. But it's something totally different. So who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I did think it was kind of nice how they tied it into like Yelena's backstory, but also just the fact that there's also Thunderbolt. It's messy, but that's our review of Thunderbolts. Let us know what you thought. You can email me at matt@obsessiveviewer.com. So we're going to go into a probably brief secondary review for Fight or Flight. We're going to do a non-spoiler review for that. So I'm going to read a quick thing before we jump over to that. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about Fight or Flight. So stay tuned.
They tell me I view obsessively.
And before we get to our secondary review, I want to take a quick moment to remind you that if you like the show, please take a moment to follow us on social media and subscribe to and rate the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, or whatever your preferred podcast app is. And don't forget to subscribe to the Obsessive Viewer Podcast YouTube channel as well. Links to all that is in the show notes of the episode. And if you're interested in starting a podcast of your own, you can go to Libsyn and use the promo code OBSESS when you sign up for a new account. You'll get up to 2 months free depending on when you sign up during the month, and we'll get a commission on it as well. More details on that in the show notes of this episode. And now back to the show.
They tell me I view obsessively.
What am I doing here, Catherine?
We're tracking a high-value target.
The Ghost is a black hat terrorist.
Deliver the mark to us alive, you get your life back.
We have a big problem. There isn't a country in the Western Hemisphere that doesn't have a bounty on the Ghost's head.
Are you telling me that plane is full of killers?
Rough night?
Please open the door.
1 second!
All right, and for our secondary review this week, we're going to be talking about Fight or Flight, which is in theaters now. It was released on May 9th, 2025. The premise, according to IMDb, is a mercenary takes on the job of tracking down a target on a plane, but must protect her when they're surrounded by people trying to kill both of them. That kind of spoils something. Director for this movie was James Madigan. This is his directorial debut, as far as I could tell. And writers were Brooks McLaren and DJ Cotrana. And the cast includes Josh Hartnett, Carithra Chandran, Katie Sackhoff, Julian Kostov, Marco Zorro, and Huey O'Donnell. As I stumble through all of that, Brent, we both saw Fight or Flight, which is why we're reviewing it here. What did you think of this movie in a non-spoiler review?
This had an interesting release strategy. This was released on like an OTT UK service, like digital thing in like mid-February or something. And I think it somehow must have done well enough. Vertical picked up picked up distribution rather here. So yeah, here we are. It's May, and this is in theaters. Seems like one that would probably play better in theaters, at least to start anyway. Seems like it's almost kind of backwards. Yeah, it's funny, like watching this movie now, even from when it was released back in February, the way people feel about flying and like with like ATCs being and like no one wants to fly into Newark. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, this movie is such a cartoon. I don't think, of course, any of it seriously in that regard, but just sort of funny. I don't know if that would even affect box office good or bad in a way. Yeah, this movie is fun. It is an absolute cartoon. I mean, this is a live action cartoon.
Yes.
100%. And I think the one that I think that's a real knee-jerk, easy comparison is Bullet Train from a few years ago, with Brad Pitt, who is this kind of washed up, assassin who's sent on this method of this transport thing, and there's always other kind of assassins. What I like about this movie is it centers on Josh Hartnett's character, and it lets all of the other assassins, they have their little beats, but it doesn't try to lean too hard into the quirkiness behind mean, there's a guy playing clarinet, playing Girl from Ipanema before, before the mouthpiece turns into a dagger or something. So we do have some colorful characters, but I think Bullet Train, where that movie really leans into it a lot, kind of the Guy Ritchie-ness of it. This is a lot more just kind of like, it's mainly this guy who like is getting, punched, beat up, whatever, thrown through all this stuff in this attempt to on this mission. So, I mean, it makes, of course, no sense. The plane is impossibly large. It makes zero sense that the pilots would still be airborne for this. There is a funny scene that addresses that, but even that is it's funny, but it's so like, of course, it makes no sense. I never use this phrase, but this is like one that if you like leave your brain at the door, you'll have the best time, it's definitely that kind of movie. It reminded me the most of Shoot 'em Up, actually.
Interesting.
The Clive Owen movie from 2007 or whenever that was, which is so much of a cartoon. Like he basically like is Bugs Bunny. He's like looking to camera, even chomps a carrot at one point. Josh Hartnett is like Daffy Duck in this movie. He's getting his bill blowed up and it's pushed behind his neck and stuff. Not actually, but
right.
But he just takes a lick and keeps on ticking. So it's sort of that movie. If it's enjoyed in that, if you take it in that spirit, you'll have a good time with it. Do not try to put any kind of iota of whatever of trying to like figure out if any of this actually makes sense.
Any logic,
no, not at all. But but yeah, so silly movie. I had a good enough time with it.
It's funny. Like I didn't rate it high. I rated it 2.5 stars. So just right in the middle. It was fine. I think that the thing that I liked most about it was Josh Hartnett. And I think that that's also due to me just being a diehard Josh Hartnett fan from the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm really liking seeing his career kind of getting this resurgence, and that's great. And he has a blast in this movie. And also to your point, the other kind of assassins on the plane, it's not cluttered in the sense of like creating like too much backstory or too much kind of unique things for each one. Each one kind of has like one thing, and like it's just more about living in the moment and being in the moment of this just ridiculous over the top thing. So like you have like a character who has like a certain type, clearly has some kind of backstory with another character, but like we're just like passengers in it, no pun intended, but we're just here for it. Like we don't get the like exaggerated backstory. It's like, like I have a line of recognition about this character from this other character, and that's it. Before they're like killed viciously. Right. And that's all great, but once like all the plane stuff is really interesting and fun. Josh Hartnett is having a ball, but anytime we get outside of that, we get like Katie Sackhoff and I think Danny Ashrock or Huey O'Donnell. I'm not sure who
Hunter or something in the movie. That
agent
Julian, that she's working with.
Julian Kostov. That's it. Whenever we get to that, I just lost any kind, like the movie lost momentum for me, and it was like trying to not even really build out or even establish like a backstory. It was like kind of just felt like it was going through the motions of like, okay, well, we need to have some kind of, explanation about who these people are, what they're doing, and like where it leads. It's interesting enough, but like it's also like I don't need any of that. Like if they wanted to do something satirical or even like politically kind of like commentary, they should have maybe done it a little harder or done it a little bit more a little more effort into it. But here it's just felt like, okay, well, yeah, that's fine, whatever. And yeah, so like and the stuff with the person that he has to kind of protect on the plane is just like, yeah, it's fine. It's like stuff that feels like it's a first pass on like an outline of like, oh, this is why this needs to be done and everything, instead of like polishing it up and like really connecting with it. Like, I don't need, here's the thing, I don't need Thunderbolts level of character development in Fight or Flight, but I need something to kind of sink my teeth into, especially since the kind of majority of the first 20 or so minutes is like building out Josh Hartnett's character as this like down on his luck, on the run guy with like this mysterious past and everything. And like, we get that past and it's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. It just feels like a lot of those elements and the backstory and everything just felt like it was following a template and not really digging into it, while also being that ridiculous high energy cartoon that you described. So that kind of tone kind of clashed a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, the silliest reveal in this whole, or the silliest development in this whole movie is on the ground. And without spoiling it, it's where those two agents work.
Yes. That's what I was getting at with like the social commentary or whatever.
Yeah, that is so goofy. That is goofier than any kind of like bone-breaking thing that happens on the plane. Yes. It's laughable. So
it's so like, and here's the thing. In a movie that is such an over-the-top cartoon like this, that reveal should be something that is substantial in terms of feeding into that cartoon nature. Like, when it happened in the movie, I was like, I kind of had to catch up, because I was like, this is presented as like this kind of dour sort of like reveal. And I'm just like, I get what they're going for, but I'm also questioning, like, is that what they're going for? Like, it just felt like so out of left field when the whole movie is like turns out of left field from scene to scene. Like, why not really lean into that instead of making it this like big, like, oh my God, this is what's really going on. It's like, no, lean into it. Make it a cartoon. Like, what are you, like, it just felt like it didn't land.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it felt like kind of trying to wade more in like deeper waters, you know, instead of like, it's like, let's stick to the 3-foot zone. Yeah. If I'm talking the pool thing, and let's play some pool basketball. Let's not try to like, you know, go for some, what are the sticks that you fetch in the, you know, in the deeper end of the pool? Oh, I don't know. That's effectively, I think, what it was trying to do with like the commentary. It's like, just stay over and stay over in the splash in the water with it. Yeah, exactly. That's where we're having fun here.
Stay in the shallow end with your pool floaties.
Stay in your lane, as they say.
Exactly. And stop trying to scuba dive in a 6-foot pool.
Anything that this movie does resembling commentary is laughable, including, I would say, and you basically implied this too, like pathos. I mean, it's like, I don't really need any characters in this movie. I just, you know, it's okay to mainly just have Josh Hartnett as this guy who's you know, is a credible threat. I think one of the things I like his performance here. I like him being in this movie. He registers as a physical threat in this movie. He does get beat up a lot. Yeah, but you know, especially in a plane where there's a lot of close quarters combat, and I think they do a good job with that. Yeah. I think that's something that you talk about, like him being, you know, in more recent movies and everything. Played, of course, serial killer and Trap last year. He registers as an action type, so much so that, like, not that he's never been in any action movies, but like this kind of, like, you know, fighting, you know, kind of like martial arts actiony movie. I'm kind of surprised he hadn't done one before, but regardless, like, there's a good time for it, you know, and so it has that sort of John Wick Parabellum thing where like everyone's phones light up and they're all after him, sort of thing. So yeah, it's definitely something it's taken stuff off the shelf. Like you mentioned First Draft. That's this movie in a lot of spots definitely has First Draft energy. But I think Hartnett for me, like wins the day, just like a fun lead. And he sells it. He sells it, and like the idea that like all of these, like, what do we know about air travel? Like everything is supposed to be non-lethal on the flight. Like, how can we make seatbelts? Like, you know, whatever. How can we make those service carts, how can we kill someone with one of the, all these innocuous items. It's not like no movie has done,
right.
A violent movie or a violent, fight scene or whatever in a plane. But this, of course, does it to such an outrageous degree, such a cartoonish degree that, that it's fun. I think they have a fun time exploring that aspect of the premise more than this, whatever characters' backstories or any kind of stuff about what technology is doing. Doesn't, give me a break.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're not
absolutely.
that movie.
You're not. Yeah. Even when movies that aren't that movie do that thing, like I'm thinking
they
of.
Still do it better.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the any number of Fast and Furious movies, which I love that franchise, but like when they do like that Eye of God thing or whatever, it's believable in that kind of in the confines of that universe. And here it's just like, it's more just explaining to us like, oh, this is why this thing is here and this is why we need to do this and everything. And it's like, okay, maybe dress it up a little bit. Maybe do like something a little bit more propulsive with it or like really establish the energy that's needed for it or the dire circumstances that you're in. But yeah, that first draft energy is throughout the whole movie. Hopefully this isn't a spoiler, but like I'll be as vague as possible, but like a good kind of metric for the type of movie that this is that toward the end of the movie, there is this sentimental moment between two characters and they're sharing this moment. It's like kind of the denouement of it, or it's the kind of finishing thing before the big surprise ending, which I thought was really dumb. Like it was really unsatisfying, but that sentimental moment between these two characters is like them like talking to one another and being like, yeah, we like basically saying like, oh, we've been through a lot and we've helped each other and everything. And like that scene rang weirdly like hollow to me. And like each one of them, as the camera like goes back and forth, have like a single tear rolling down their cheek. And like, my theory is that they knew that the movie wasn't going to sell that sentimentality at the end. So as damage control, they're like, all right, well, let's put like a teardrop for each of them to kind of help with that.
I would buy that. I think that's fair. And I agree with you about the very final scene, which is effectively setting up a sequel. It's not going to happen.
Very dumb.
I don't know. You never know with these movies. When they clearly they put it out thinking there would be some sense that there could be a sequel.
Yeah.
But like it premiered on like Sky One or whatever. Right. So it's like, I can't reconcile those things. It's like, how can you be confident enough in a movie that there would be a potential sequel? And yet the place it's debuting is on this. It's not even VOD, I don't think. Maybe it is. I don't know. Whatever the service is effectively going, not debuting in a movie theater. Effectively.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So like I can't reconcile those two things. So it's kind of an odd movie in that way in terms of the release strategy. But one of those ones that let's see, Vertical. I don't know who they filter out to in terms of streamer, but maybe Hulu or something. But it's one of those ones that like if you catch it on Hulu 3 months from now, like you'll have a fun time. It's not quite on the level of like Carry On Netflix is better than this, but it's not that much better. Like, and that's a different kind of. It's more of a thriller. Yeah. This is more of like again action comedy, again very cartoonish. So like I think again if you, like I think it's like no more no less. So. Yeah,
it's exactly what it purports itself to be, I guess. The
opening scene of this movie sucks too.
Oh my god,
sucks.
I don't.
We got to be done with the cold open, chaotic cold open. For 2 minutes.
I didn't even think.
The card
12 hours earlier.
12 hours before departure.
That's so.
It's like I'm tired of that. Everyone hates that.
Yes,
and then they set it to Blue Danube Waltz, which we've seen play out ironically in so many other movies. So like, I hate that, and I thought we were off to a bumpy ride on that opening scene. I was like, this is going to be a turbulent an hour and a half, but it got better. It got better. And I'm thankful for that. But yeah, I was worried.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. It's just, messy.
So the first and last scene of this movie suck.
Yes.
But there's good stuff in between.
Yeah. It would have been fun if we didn't have that opening scene and we just had that moment in the movie, in the climax.
Just start the movie where it starts.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but we can kind of wrap up because I don't have much else to say about this movie. I will say it does, like you brought up Carry On, which is clear, like I thought about that too. Also a little bit of like Back in Action and how that movie also ends with like that whole like, oh, we're setting up a sequel thing. And like this movie feels like the little streaming movie that could, in that it feel like it has all of those elements of like a straight to streaming movie that would have been on Netflix, that would have been one of the dozens or like tens of whatever many dozens.
G20 on Prime, which I still have to catch up with.
Oh, I still have to do too. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But like,
I'll watch that at some point. But
yeah, this seems like the type of movie that would have been made for a streamer and in that of things that are thrown at the wall to see what sticks and tacked on with a thing at the end in case they could make a sequel. So I think I will commend it for having like a strange trip to the theater, but a theatrical run nonetheless is kind of impressive for a movie like this. So
yeah, we'll see what it does. They'll probably pick up whatever they can with it. And I think, streaming is honestly probably where, like, this is one of those movies I could see. It's like Josh Hartnett's in an action comedy. Yeah. I'll turn that on. And it's like #1 on Netflix for 6 weeks.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Just the nature of these things. Like, this is the way stuff happens. Cause like no one's going to see, God forbid someone see a movie in a theater, but like I'll sit home and watch it on Netflix.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Whew. Well, I think that's all we've got for Fight or Flight. It is currently in theaters. I rated it 2.5 stars. Like I said, Brent, what did you rate it?
I did 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies I can't I'm not going to like argue that it's like a good movie, but I think it does the action. Like if the action was not good, I would not come on. I wouldn't come on the positive side of it. But I think the fight choreography is solid, and again, solid. That I think it does get there, but there's a lot of stuff that's just like not well thought out and not super well done plot wise. But but yeah, certainly will be one that would be fun to. I mean, if it sounds good to you, see it in the theater. But if not, it'll. I feel like this is like going to be Netflix is going to pick this up. I forget who Vertical Entertainment filters into streaming wise, but this just something about this feels like Netflix.
It does, but I feel like Vertical goes to Hulu because I feel like I've seen Elevation on Hulu, which Elevation was Vertical, I think.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Or I might just be thinking that because of the title.
But see, the distribution with this is so weird that like they maybe Vertical might just be doing the theater. Who knows?
Yeah.
But regardless, it'll be on some streamer in a few months, probably. Yeah. Maybe not even that far out. And,
did you say it was originally in the UK or Canada?
I think the UK.
Okay. So you can expect it to be streaming on BritBox at some point.
Yeah, BritBox. Yeah, that would be crazy. Like all these other countries. Yeah. It has like one of the weirdest release histories on IMDb.
Wow.
That I've seen for a movie like in recent memory.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wild. Well, I would recommend seeing it like Brent said. So yeah, it's not a bad time. It's just don't think about it too hard, but enjoy the ride.
That's it.
Yeah. Which I'm going to make a joke. God damn it. Which that's what's on my dating profile. It's just don't think about it. Enjoy the ride. Okay. Well, anyway, that went south. Brent, thank you so much for joining me for this week. We're not going to do a potpourri because I'm starving. But before we go, can you tell people where they can find you online and what you've got coming up? I know you're going to see Hurry Up tomorrow. What else do you got in the pipeline?
Yeah, awakeinthedark.com. Best place to find me. I'm on Facebook and X and Threads and Letterboxd and all those. Hurry Up Tomorrow will be next. Mission Impossible Final Reckoning? Final question mark reckoning? And probably bring her back. Friendship would be great, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Like literally, if it had been this past weekend, I would have reviewed it, but now I don't know if I'm going to review it. I'll see it. So anyway, those are the next few I have in the bank.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this comeback episode since I've been out for a month or so.
Comeback kid.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So that's it for this week's episode of The Obsessive Viewer. As always, thank you so much for listening, and make sure to follow the show on social media and subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast app. Also, check out Obsessive Viewer Podcast's other shows, Tower Junkies, a Stephen King podcast hosted by Tiny and myself, on which I just recently had a very lovely chat with Eric Vespi from the Kingcast, so check that out at towerjunkiespod.com. And also check out Anthology, the Twilight Zone and classic sci-fi podcast hosted by me. That is at anthologypod.com. Next week on the show, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but until then, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. And now, enjoy this short clip from a recent Patreon exclusive episode. For the full episode and more Patreon exclusive content, sign up at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Because, like, you see how, like, Twitter and, like, social media is, like, on, like, nights when, like, The Last of Us airs, or Severance, or, like, whatever the hot thing is. Like, Letterboxd could be that centralized thing for, like, the big TV show events of our time.
It makes no sense that they're missing out on that. It's mind-boggling. I mean, there's still film Twitter, but there's a strong overlap with Letterboxd, as we know,
right? Because
that's just but TV. I mean, and you'll see that with stuff like, I'm just going off the top of my head, like Normal People, or there are certain ones. Your boy Flanagan's shows.
Yes.
Haunting the Hill House and stuff. There's stuff that's on Letterboxd that it's like, it lists it as like a 600-minute movie,
right? Even
though it's like a 10-episode series or whatever.
Which drives me insane because I don't want it involved in my stats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want it separate. So I do not know how they had not cracked that nut. That seems like that's the main thing. I wouldn't worry about trying to compete with Apple, Amazon, and Fandango / Rotten Tomato, that whole conglomerate. Like, just try to get TV on there.
Yeah, please.
Because I'd do it. I'd log nuts. TV. I mean, I wouldn't go back and watch and log every single TV show I've ever seen, just like I don't do for movies. But I would try to be sort of active on it. At least with like ratings, even if I don't do blurbs for every episode.
Thank you for listening to the Obsessive Viewer podcast. This episode was produced and edited by me, Matt Hurt. If you have feedback, thoughts on our episodes, or just want to connect, you can email me at matt@obsessiveviewer.com. For more information on this show, including a full archive of our episodes and show notes, visit obsessiveviewer.com. And if you enjoyed the show, please give us a follow on social media and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice so you never miss an episode. Also, consider rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible to help increase our visibility and grow our community. If you want to support the show and get early access to new episodes, as well as a steady stream of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. For information on more podcasts presented by obsessiveviewer.com, visit obsessiveviewer.com/podcasts. Our theme song is A Little Mad Sometimes by As Good As It Gets. For more of their music, check them out on Spotify and at asgoodasitgetsmusic.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn. Check out the show notes for your promo code to get started podcasting today.